Urbandale.
Urbandale? Okay, so he lives in Polk County.
Good morning. My name is Mike Maiers. I'm the supervisor for Polk County Supplemental Foods. I'm here today to give you kind of a brief overview of the inventory issues that we've been having both nationally and locally. I sent an article to Heather from Politico that kind of goes a little more in depth about what the response is, nationally to this problem. But in January of this year, the USDA awarded Paris Brothers Incorporated with a contract to be the sole provider of storage and distribution of USDA foods, and this contract took effect in April. Paris Brothers started encountering significant shipping delays in May, which have made the expected arrival dates of our orders very unpredictable. As of right now, we are still several deliveries behind. In August, seniors stopped receiving milk and cheese, and as of this week, they will stop receiving peanut butter if trucks don't start showing up. I was contacted by Paris Brothers yesterday, where they scheduled delivery of 2 of our past orders. Those orders contain 6 semi-loads of product, so if they show up, we should be okay. If they don't, as the month progresses, and our existing inventory runs out, the packages will be more and more sparse with products. The situation is expected to persist over the next few months. Unless Paris Brothers gets caught up with their deliveries. And there is a slight possibility that our location at 2309 Euclid may have to close for short periods of time and deliveries be halted due to lack of inventory. While we initially believed that we would be able to make up the missing items in a retroactive delivery to these seniors, after speaking with other CSFP agencies across the nation at a conference we attended last week, we don't believe that is going to be feasible anymore, as if the problem persists for more than 1 month, it becomes almost impossible to keep track of who did or didn't get which products in any given amount of time. To keep our clients aware of the issues, we have posted flyers in all client-facing areas. We've done phone calls, mass mailings. Included in those mailings are where to find local pantries, as well as the senior meal program that we have through the Polk County Community Centers. If we do end up needing to close our doors, which again, if these trucks show up, that shouldn't be something that we have to do, but we will get a hold of our clients and by telephone or have people stationed out front just to kind of make the trip that's not necessary not happen. The problem will continue to be a moving target for some time, as the contract with Paris Brothers does not end until December. It's a contract that also has 5 option years associated with it, but from what we heard, they're probably not going to exercise those options. The USDA has enlisted the help of FEMA officials and their logistics specialists to help kind of streamline the delivery process. And when the FEMA officials leave their temporary posts, the DOD is going to be stepping in to continue helping with the delivery of these these trucks. As of Thursday, August 29th, the USDA has executed an emergency contract with Americold, who used to hold a contract with the USDA for delivery of these. So they're going to be helping with providing storage, distribution, and receipt of to help resume on-time deliveries. At the conference last week, they brought up that the Commodity Credit Corporation they found money through that. It's $36 million, and we would be able to get roughly $135,000 of that money. That money is only to be used to buy domestically produced goods that we can then use in place of the missing inventory that we have right now. So yeah, that's all I have as far as that. I'm happy to take any questions you may have.
How many clients do we have?
Right now, we have roughly 2,832 clients on the CSFP program.
We got this call from Harris Brothers a while back saying they had 6 truckloads for you. Have you ever got those calls before?
So yes, we do get those from time to time. It's very rare recently. Our July orders, we normally get 2 orders a month, and that can range from 3 to 5 semi-loads worth of stuff. All of our July orders were canceled because they knew that they weren't going to be able to fulfill those in time. And then July 26th, they said that going forward, everything would be on time. Our July 6th truck didn't show up until a week and a half later. Our August 6th truck didn't show up until a week and a half later. So even though they pushed all those deliveries back, they still were not able to deliver inventory on time.
So what's the basic problem? Is there too much more freight than they thought? They have more capacity with their trucks?
So what we were told is when they took over, they weren't fully staffed. And now that they're fully staffed, it's not a shipping or a logistics issue. It's more of all of this food is in caves down in Kansas City.
Right.
And these cave systems stretch for miles while something is stored, 3 miles away from the other thing. So they're having problems getting everything together for a multi-food order to go out on time.
Yeah, I've been in those caves. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
Is there anything we should be doing or could be doing that could help alleviate things? I had this conversation a couple weeks ago, and I don't know if there's an answer to that we could be doing or not.
As of right now, it's more of a USDA and Paris Brothers problem. There's not much that we can do on the local level. We are looking into that, the Community Credit Corporation money, and I've had conversations with Hy-Vee to see if maybe we can use some of that money to purchase a multi-food order through them. That hasn't gotten to a point where it's something that I can say that it's definitely going to happen or will. We have a year until September of 25 to use that money, or it just reverts back. So our state agency, which is DHHS, is ultimately in control of that. They have to request that money, and then it can they can spend it on the CSFP program, or they can filter it down to us to have us do it.
Okay.
So food banks obviously are having the same issue, right?
I would imagine, I don't know for sure, I haven't spoken with them, but food banks do get their USDA foods through the cave system as well, so I would imagine Paris Brothers is also having problems there.
How about the rest of the local pantries then?
So I know that as far as DMARC is concerned, they purchase items from the Food Bank of Iowa, and they are also having inventory problems. I don't know to what extent,
Okay.
but I know that my staff that does the ordering for our food pantries, the ordering forms are getting more and more sparse.
Mike, you said the DHS has to request the CCC money?
Yes, yeah, and they have, I believe, until, I want to say it's the end of this week or next to request that money.
They given an indication if they're going to or not?
We've had very little communication about that as of yet, but I imagine pretty soon here. It doesn't make sense to not request that money because it's no harm, no foul. If we don't use it, it just reverts back.
Right.
So,
Seems like time's kind of at the essence though, because if you don't request it and they don't show up, then we're much further behind, so we probably should request it.
Yeah, and that's what we're leaning towards, or we're trying to talk to our state agency about, is just request it so that way it's there in case we need it.
Right. Seems to make the most sense.
Yes.
So if there's a backlog, will a whole bunch show up at once? Is there a storage problem, situation for you?
So as of right now, there won't be a storage problem because our warehouse is empty. We have, with these 6 semi-loads that are showing up, about 20 of them will go into our cooler because it's mostly all cheese. The other 100 or so, we have plenty of room in the warehouse to do. And then at River Place, there's also the back warehouse in that building that I know we'd be able to utilize some of that as well.
And when do you expect it?
So we're supposed to be getting a truckload of cheese today, another truck on Friday, and then 4 semi-loads on Tuesday next week.
That's what they're telling you.
That's what I've been told, yes, by Paris Brothers.
And will that be ketchup?
So that is most of our orders from August that we never received. They had us put in all of our orders through October 4th so they could start picking those orders so that way they were ready to go. Whether or not that will actually happen, I don't know. It's up to them at this point.
Will you let us know and send an email out every time you get the truckload?
Absolutely.
Yeah, good idea.
And pictures.
Do you have the capability to unload 4 truckloads all in the same day?
So yes, we do. In my contact with Paris Brothers, I asked them to stagger those trucks over about an hour apiece. A truckload normally contains between 20 and 24 pallets of product. So it's relatively easy to get
Oh,
those.
palletized, you just.
Yeah, it's all palletized, yes.
That's cool.
Well, it's unfortunate. There's not a whole lot. Our hands are tied apparently, but yeah, just keep us posted. Let us know when you get those. Is there any other questions for him?
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for what you're doing. It's gotta be a logistical nightmare. Thank you.
Okay.
Next.
Are you ready, Deb?
I am ready.
Okay.
All right. So this is the time of the year when I come to you with how we closed out the prior fiscal year and the cleanup changes we need to make to this year's budget because of things that have happened since we last certified in April. The major changes this year would be, as is often, the timing of expenditures. So timing of the emergency rental assistance, ARPA, and FEMA revenues. We are planning to carry forward about 24.6 million of ARPA projects that would be funded through the lost revenue replacement. Mainly that's housing assistance and water quality. It's taking some time to get those programs fully out. 18.3 million of emergency rent assistance. You may recall that about 15 million was retained by the county for the county's affordable housing program. We've also generated interest earnings of about 2.7, I believe, on those. So we would be carrying forward those revenues and setting them aside in a separate account to be used for the county's affordable housing program. Also carrying forward 1.8 million of emergency repairs tax relief funding. We set that aside several years ago. We did 2.5 million in public works and 2.5 million in community family youth services. The 1.8 is what's left in emergency repairs. We would be carrying that forward to 24-25. In contrast to that, community family youth services indicates they no longer need to keep that as a separate earmark. They're able to fund the requests that come in through that enhanced tax relief through their existing GA budget. So they had about 2.2 million that they had earmarked for that. That would just now be going back to the general fund and not earmarked to continue the enhanced, to funding that enhanced program.
Just to refresh my memory, the ERA 2 affordable housing piece, that consists of, theoretically at least, the purchasing of properties across the metro and demoing them out and then rebuilding. Is that what we're talking about here?
Sarah, it's not, are we demoing properties? We're constructing brand new ones, right? ERA 2?
Correct, we're gonna construct new homes on vacant properties, but also.
That's the program, okay.
To just buy ground, redevelopment activities, and then that's considered
Right.
done as well.
All right, that's what we're doing with that. Does that include the so-called land trust?
Yes.
Okay, that's part of it too, Mark. All right, thanks.
Then the final piece there in that bullet point is 1 million of FEMA reimbursement carried over. That's still from COVID-19. We're just That's how long it's taking to get the reimbursement in. Many capital projects being carried forward purely based upon timing. Northeast Broadway Avenue Phase 1, about $4 million remaining for that, or sorry, $2.4 million remaining for that, and a portion of Phase 2 of $8 million we'll be carrying forward. Be eliminating the earmark for the airports. Asset repair and replacement and vehicles being carried forward of $7.8 million. Most of that is solar panels, the sander shed at Public Works, some security cameras, Sally Port, just finishing up some projects, and solar panels are the biggest piece of that there. We continue to carry forward an earmark for the morgue of $7 million, just pending to see what happens in that. Public Works carrying forward bridge projects for about $4 million and $2.7 million for Northeast Rising Sun. Resource Center construction, we're about halfway through the $5 million that was appropriated for that, so we'd be carrying forward the remaining appropriation. Skate park parking lot and improvements carrying forward $2.2 million of appropriation there. And purchase of election equipment, which the board just approved about a couple weeks ago. We're carrying forward that appropriation from last year to this. And then conservation bond projects as well. Some other items that impact the beginning balance for this current fiscal year are under last year's expenditures and revenues as compared to budget. A big one here was in community family use services, about $4 million under expended in the general relief and utilities transportation budget. A lot of that was from the shelter general relief. As a reminder, we did continue to pass through ERA funding to impact last year. We passed through about $40 million through March, so I'm assuming that greatly impacted the need that was placed at community family use services. And also, as I mentioned, the $2.2 million of tax relief programming for seniors that they did not expend, and that will be returning to the general fund. Also underspent in the youth shelter and care and keep budget of about $674,000. We don't have control over what services are ordered there, so we'd like to keep a large appropriation just in case. And then substance abuse services underexpended by about $300,000. We always have had an appropriation there for the sobering center. We're starting to see some expenses come online there, so we are starting to spend that. On the revenue side, we did have a very large increase in interest earnings compared to budget, $7 million more than we had budgeted. There's a slight offset on that because recording fees go down as interest rates go up. As I mentioned, we are taking $2.7 million of that $7 million and setting it aside on the ERA affordable housing program because that was money, that was interest earnings that were earned on the balances that were sitting in our general fund. Opioid settlement revenue of $4.6 million received. We really didn't have an indication of how much would be coming in, so this is what was actually coming in. The Tier 1 business tax credit. In 2002, the state switched how they were giving tax credits to businesses. It wasn't clear how this would impact our budget. We took a conservative approach, and it ends up that it's coming in at about $2.8 million more than we had anticipated. That's spread across all the funds. And then one other large revenue increase compared to budget was service of civil papers. The changes that offices and departments are requesting now for this current fiscal year, the major ones are about $14 million for state incentive funding for behavioral health services. Opioid settlement funds, we adjusted it to prior year actuals now that we have a trend to establish. Conservation is expecting some large increases in grants from Destination Iowa for Easter Lake and for a mountain bike trail. And also about $369,000 of operating revenue expected at Easter Lake North Shore. On the expense side, we do see that BHDS would be increasing their utilization because they anticipate additional revenue coming in. The conservation would be expending those grants. $410,000 to increase the appropriation for jail, food, and supplies. This purely matches the current year appropriation to what was actually expended in the prior fiscal year. $324,000 increase for the Welcome Center, and that includes some startup cost. That would be partially offset by reallocating funds that were previously appropriated for the refugee pilot program. And then about $200,000 for increased insurance, property and liability insurance expense. Next week, I would have on for you a resolution to authorize publication. That public hearing would be on October 8th to finish out 24-25, and then end of October, we start on 25-26.
Okay.
Okay, no big surprises. Any questions for Deb? There's supplemental material all behind this if you care to go over that or ask any questions about it.
These earmarks, like the airport and the morgue earmark, where does that go?
It's just sitting in our fund reserves.
So if we wanted to use that for stipends for retiring supervisors, we could do that, right?
We'd have to change the earmark.
All right. I'll check that out. Thanks.
You're not lieutenant governor. Pay raise.
Yet.
Yeah,
Well,
you don't keep
yeah.
it in your desk drawer or anything like that in your office.
If I did, I wouldn't be here.
Okay, anything else? Great job, Deb. I know
Thank
you
you.
spent a lot of time on it. Okey dokey. That's all we got, folks. That's all, folks.
Is that what they're gonna pay him? $500,000 a year?
Yeah.
What'd she
Effective
do?
immediately.
Is she appoint someone there, or what'd she do?